to readjust my thing after I've had it in there, and I don't know why it changed. It changed when I was on vacation, so I come back and it's different. Every time I turn around, it's different. Anyway, nevertheless, whoops, hang on. Uh-oh, things are falling. Whoopsie daisy. We'll get it. We'll get it. Let me find me over here, and then we can start. So today I was thinking about this. Um, if I would have known then what I know now about junk journaling. So this is crooked. Let me get it straight. We don't want a crooked look the whole thing here. Okay, a little better. Anyway, um, there's things that I wish I would have known when I started out my junk journal journey. And I'm gonna move the light over here so it looks more less shadowy, I hope. I don't know. Anyway, um, as I get going, feel free to ask me some questions or add any comments if you have been doing junk journaling for a few years, of things that you wish you would have known, because I'd love to hear what you guys have too. All right, so um, just so you know, I've been doing it about 6 years. So, I don't want to. I just kind of want to give you a back little bit about me. But the first thing that I think, and this might be a lengthy little journal or a lengthy little thing. Ooh, watching me on the big screen. Hi, Claudine. And hi, everybody else that's in here. Come on in, make yourself all comfy. So, all right, the first thing that let me move this out of the way. Wish I'd known, because my first journals were absolutely alligator mouths. Now, if you don't know what that means, it means that your journals look like this. They don't close like a book. And I wish I would have known tips about that. Now, some of things I'm telling you today are repeats about things that I've done as quick tips, but I've kind of put them all together. So, in this journal, I wanted to kind of share with you that you put together, if you don't want alligator mouth, and if you do, this does not, most people like just a regular book, not an alligator mouth, but you do you. And there's been the whole, do you make the journal from the top to the bottom, meaning the cover to the pages, or do you make the pages and then the cover? Well, I honestly like to make the cover last most of the time. Now, if it's a little journal, real thin, tiny, then it doesn't really matter, when you make it, because you're not going to be putting in a bunch of stuff. So the more stuff you put in, the more tags, the more, things that are fluffy and stand up and layer up and stuff like that. That is why I suggest that you make at least 3/4 of the inside. Now, these are called signatures. If you're brand new to junk journaling and you're watching this and you're like, what is a junk journal? Well, a junk journal is a journal that you've created. Originally, it came about by using junk envelopes and things that you had lying around your house, things that you might have wished that, that you've been saving in a shoebox for years and years. It's kind of that stuff put together in a journal. So, as of lately, it's turned into a lot of other different things. It might be, digital kits, which these are digital kits. That's going to be one of the suggestions that I'm going to talk about is, if you're new, you may want to try a digital kit, but taking and using digital kits, I think, takes away from your creativity. So if you're a really creative person, you may not want to use digital kits. Images out of magazines can be used, different things like that. But 3/4 of the inside of your journal, the inside signatures, is what I suggest that you finish before you even think about the cover. Because at that point, you kind of have an idea of how it's going. Like, have you been putting a lot of thick tags in it? Have you been putting a lot of stuff that's going to build the journal up so fat that you're going to need more room? Then you can decide and put it in and kind of look at it and leave yourself some leeway. Leave yourself some squish room. And once you do, oh, I'm not even in frame. And once you leave yourself some squish room, then you'll kind of have an idea of how big to make your journal. All right. So the other thing that I knew, wish I'd known, I started out using embroidery thread. Well, that's fine and dandy if you don't have any other thread, but I think most of us has learned that you can use embroidery thread with, they sell these little wax pieces that you can replace, and they go in here. You buy these, you know, any place like Joann's or Hobby Lobby or whatever, and you run your thread through it. I don't even have a piece of thread. Whatever thread you're using, if you're going to use like a cotton thread, you would just put it in and you would run it through it like that. And then it makes it a little slicker. It doesn't tear your pages, and it makes it easier. Didn't know they made such a thing. But they do make waxed thread already. You can see how it's sticking to itself. And you can also see that that little piece of glitter is sticking to it. But it's really waxed. It's nice. And this came from China, and I think I bought it years ago from AliExpress before. And you can get it as well through Amazon or Temu or wherever. You do want to use 1 millimeter thread. Now, bayonet is the color, so 150D, I don't know, some of them said that, but this is about the right thickness of thread to use. It goes nicely through a embroidery needle, is what I typically use to put the journals together. And it has, the embroidery needles have an actual little bit bigger eye hole, and the thread will fit through it. And it kind of has a not so pointy, hey Twyla, not so pointy, a little bit of point, but not like a, so sharp that it's going to poke you every time. So that's the other thing I would use. But you can buy wax and still use your own thread, especially if you're starting out and you don't want to buy a bunch of stuff. I highly suggest you stay away from buying a bunch of stuff. Okay, so don't make your spine over 2.5 to 3 inches wide at the most. I suggest not over a 2.5 inch, but if you feel you have to go to a 3 inch, then go to a 3 inch. But my first journal, I'm going to show you that I made very large. I thought, I'm making myself an idea journal. And so I made this journal 5 inches. Do you see how massive this is? I did this as a live. I have a JJ with Joy private Facebook group, and I made this live, and I showed how to make a cover and everything built in it. But I thought this would have enough support. But do you see how it's bowed? And there's so much weight on it that it will bow itself. I feel like I need to move up just a tiny bit more. Hang on, let me bring you guys up. You might see some of the gnarly stuff on my desk or under my desk or something, but anyway, we'll get you up a little bit. So to stay away from, here's an alligator mouth. You can see the alligator mouth, and this is literally holding that together. Do you see how fat that's got? 5 inches. No, nothing over 2.5 inches. All right. Next thing is create a sample book, and that's what this book is. And I kind of wish I would not have done a fabric book because of how big and large this is. But a sample or idea book, I call this my Junk Journal 101 book. And the reason I do is it has, and see, it gets so big you can't even manipulate it. Okay, so in this book, I decided I was going to add in every kind of idea that I could use in a journal. So adding an acetate page, add sticky notes to the acetate page, gives you a temporary holding place, you know, especially if you're doing like a calendar book or something. And I just put all kinds of different tips in here. I have phrases and sayings that I can use. I have steps to consider. Now, all of this paperwork stuff I have added in my JJ with Joy private Facebook group. And some of the things that you need to have, is, you know, I don't want any spammers. So I do try hard to keep spammers out. So how to make a pen, you know, you can use, I'm just showing different ideas of things that I can do. This I'll talk about later, but you know, using scraps, magazines, puzzle pieces. This was kind of an all over. I just wanted to like see what I could do. But these are all just ideas that I have come across in my junk journal journey. And if you start from the beginning, you can have all of this at your hand so you know what you're doing. You know, so many people don't tend to, kind of like putting your furniture in the middle versus up against the wall. A lot of people are, no, it's got to be on the wall. Well, if you know, sideways, short pages, just whatever. And I've left space to add stuff in here too. So you guys can't even see this the way I'm doing this because there's so much. Adding a flower to the middle, handmade paper, how to make your own little flowers, doing yo-yos. I mean, there's so many ideas that I have had. And if there's something I've seen or I've made myself that I loved, I put it in here. Like I made this blooming envelope and I thought it was so pretty. And I thought, I want to remember how to do it. So I put a picture of it in there. And again, there's a blooming envelope. That's how it's made. So I have an example. I have instructions of how you put things together. Now I keep those loose so I can get them in and out. Just like here is how to, this is what it made. It made it like a pocket here out of a paper bag. This is the instructions of how I made it. Okay, anyway, you guys get the idea. That's your idea book, and I suggest you just do littler ones and more of them, honestly. But add links into your book. If you saw somebody on YouTube that made something really special that you really liked, add the link and the name of the person, the name of the video, so you can go back and watch it if you want. So that is my idea for that. So take pictures of your work, put them in an album. I do two things. I keep some of my favorite things that I want to do again in this book. I also, you can keep an album on your phone. So label it your junk journal stuff, you know, and it's kind of fun to see where you've been, where you're going, and then once you get there, how much you've improved. So start now. If you are already going and you've been junk journaling for 2 years, and you're like, oh, I wish I would have done that. Well, start now. Start now. If you guys like what I'm saying, give me a thumbs up while you're here, if you would. I'd love it. I'd love it, love it, love it. All right, so take your pictures. I keep mine in my Facebook album. You can make a private album on your own Facebook page that nobody sees, but they're there. No telling when Facebook will go away. So I would definitely keep them somewhere else. Put them in a hard drive somewhere. But keep them all together so you can go back and look at them. And if you can find a way to put a date on them, get a date on them too. I keep a count of how many journals I've made. And I do that in a journal. All right, originally I bought this journal from a lady. This was like a challenge. And I love the way she did this journal. So this little thing came in it, and I started writing down journals that I've made. And as I sold them, I put the date and the year, a month and year that I put on them. And so if I sold them, then I'd say how much I got and who I sold them to. Well, 6 years later, I'm up to 178 journals. It's kind of fun just to say, wow, well, when did I make that? You also can go back if somebody asks you a question about something and you're like, oh, well, I know I made that. Well, when did I make it? And you could go back and say, oh yeah, I made this winter journal that Josh just showed, 3 of 24. That's when I made it. Okay. So, make a video flip through for yourself if you don't do it for anybody else. You don't have to be a YouTuber and stuff. Just make a journal. I wish I would have made I had a my life journal that I did, and I put it together and I made a video of it. And it wasn't till later I realized the camera was the wrong direction. So it's a huge journal and you're looking at it on the tiny screen. And I wish, now it's full of private information that I don't wish to share. So I don't want to do it again. So, um, you know, if you are using older vintage papers in there and you put a sticky note over it, note to yourself, it will rip and tear your paper. I had a lot of stuff from my grandfather's trunk, and when I made it, hello, Barbara. I don't know if I said hi to Twyla. Hi, Twyla. Come in and say hi, everybody. Did I say hello, Barbara? I did, didn't I? I didn't say, I'm reading and I'm like, did I say her name wrong? Anyway, it don't matter. Okay, so if you are starting in the very, very beginning and you haven't done anything, I highly suggest you start this way. Sort everything. I mean, flipping everything. All right? I'll use this as an example just because. Now, I know you're going to say I'm OCD and I'm ridiculous, and there ain't no way. But I'm telling you, it has saved me so many hours. Once I've done it, it's done. And it saved me so many hours of doing it. So this little file is called Words and Phrases. And I sorted them by size, kind of. So if I'm looking for certain words, and I stood them up, and I have little piles. Oops, these are really tiny ones over here. I don't know if you can see, those are the little tiny ones that, and I have piles and piles. I'm just like an ephemera, let's just throw up ephemera stuff. But I set these on their side so I can flip through and find something. And sometimes I just have massive amounts of ephemera. So you just have to, if you can start at the very beginning, sorting your buttons by color. So if you're working on a project that's pink, you don't have to go and sit and go through, 1,000 buttons to find the perfect pink button. You already have your pink buttons all together, so you go through just a little of them. I'm telling you, it will save you hours and hours, and it will keep your creative flowing so that you don't just stop and start looking for buttons. And then you like find a weird button. You're like, oh, I need to save this and put this over here because I want to use that there. It takes away all of that clutter to keep you on target with what you're doing. I actually have buttons and beads and colors of paper. I actually started out sorting like nature, butterflies, maps and atlases, tea bags, that kind of stuff. I used to keep just a file cabinet full of that kind of stuff. But then I got to, my friend had the buttons done, and I'm like, oh, that's just silly. Who needs their buttons done? You just go through the pile and you just sit there and do them. And then I'm sitting there trying to do, especially if you're going to do, Facebook or YouTube lives, then you definitely, it helps you to have them sorted so you can just pull out the color and do whatever you want to do. I have colors of paper, sizes of ephemera by colors. When you are ready to use something, it's just there, and you don't have all of the struggle of sorting in order to keep that creative process going. All right, organize your space. Now, this I did in my I did this in here. I'll put this here just so it's not plain and my hands are here. Anyway, organize your space. Have the most important tools next to you. Now, I'm talking about the things that you use every day. Every day, every time you go to craft, you're using those things. For instance, your scissors, your cutting boards, your bone folder, your pencil, your glues, and you don't need 4 of the same glue in the same spot next to you. You only need 1. If you have 4 bottles of art glitter glue, yay you, first of all, but you only need 1 right next to you, handy. And don't take that. That is kind of like, if you're going to Walmart or something, it's prime territory. You want to save it for something else. You don't need 5 different, kinds. Okay, so organize your space and put the things closest to you that you need to grab all the time. Keep them handy. Even your sewing machine, if you have one, If you have one and you haven't used it, we'll talk about that later. So here's another little tip that I have learned through the years, and I hear it from every single person. We all go to the store, we buy stuff, and we come in, we don't have time to put it away, and we just lay it on the counter, over there, over wherever you lay it on the floor in your craft room. I'll get to it. How long does it take you? I mean, be honest. How long does it take you to open up that and put it away? I suggest you put it in your head. I'm going to put it away when I get home. If you have things that are um, keeping you from that, like I went shopping and I got home at 5 o'clock and dinner has to be on the table. We're starving to death. Okay, put it on your chair. And when you get done with dinner and dishes and all that stuff, then come to your chair, dump it out, and put it away. Because if you do it then, it's not going to be sitting over in the corner bothering you to death. You don't want things hanging around because it takes away your creativity. Again, if you have clutter, you don't want to work in that space. If you have a messy house, you don't want to be there. I used to go shopping to avoid uh, staying home in my cluttered house because it was just cluttered. I just didn't want to clean it. I was tired of cleaning and I just didn't want to clean it. That's when my kids were little. I don't mind it anymore. But don't let that sack just sit there. Don't put it to the side. Now's the time. It's kind of like folding laundry, you guys. Do you know how long it takes to fold a load of laundry? No more than 5 minutes. How many of you put your laundry basket aside and say, oh, and then you live out of the laundry basket? 5 minutes. I'm telling you, 5 minutes. It's all it takes. All right. Now, to the actual junk journaling. Take your time. Don't rush that process. But set a realistic goal. Don't say, I got to have this journal done by, the end of the week. When you know that you don't work that fast, you don't have anything that you don't have enough time in the day. You may have children at home. You may have other obligations that have got you on a project somewhere. Be realistic, set yourself a goal, but don't beat yourself up. It's take your time, enjoy the process. If it's not fun, you're not going to do it. End of story. You're not going to do it. All right. Create a list. Now, in my group, I've shared this, but it's only for my group. Good. Hello, Miss Buttercup. I have this list, and it started out, and I have added many things to it because I've been journaling yet further. It's things to consider to add to a junk journal. Now, I have created this. It is in my files in my Facebook group, and I am willing to share it, but I don't want to just give it to any old y'all. You can make your own. You have stuff I don't have. I have stuff you don't have. So I alphabetized it. I highlighted the items that I needed to pay attention to that you're going to add to a journal before you actually bind it together. And then I've just made a list. Now, when you get stuck and you're like, oh, wow, I forgot I had cheesecloth. I forgot I had, buttons because they're in a drawer sorted over there. If you forget, you can just go through here. If you're doing a journal and you're like, wow, I haven't used whatever, just go through. We have many, many things. Starting at the beginning here, I have acetate, ads, magazines, alcohol inks, alteration tags, altered paper clips. Just go through, write down everything you got, and then you will have a resource that is very valuable should you pick it up again. It does you no good if you don't pick it up, just so you know. But I lost my spot. Here I am. All right. I highly suggest that you use glues that are appropriate for your project. So many people will use one glue for everything. Now, if you are new, starting out and you've not done junk journaling forever, and you need just a overall one glue that'll do all, I bought this one, and I highly suggest that this be that one. It's just PVA glue. Now, PVA glue is also, this is a little thicker. It's also like your, I don't even have one up here on my little spindle thing, like your Elmer's glue, except for this one is a little bit thicker, it seems. It's by Lineco, and it is www.booksbyhand.com. So if you only need one, this would be the one I probably would choose if you're new. Now, once you get going, I've done a whole quick tip. Go to my quick tip on glue, and you will see what I say use for everything. Another good one, this is so dirty because I've been using the same bottle forever. Another one is art glitter glue that dries clear. Make sure you get the dries clear, and it has a real fine tip so you don't waste a lot of glue. That's my second choice. But you need different things for different things, you know. I use rubber cement for like doilies, paper doilies, real doilies, and see-through lace and that kind of stuff. I use Fabri-Tac for fabric only, or fabric that is on paper. I mean, if you have the right glue, it'll help you. Now, when I'm building journals, I like to use tacky glue, just good old simple cheap tacky glue. This is also a PVA glue. For some reason, it takes a little longer to dry. So does this one. And they probably, who knows, might have the same ingredients. I have no idea. Oh, this says shake well. I didn't even know that. Wow, interesting. Okay, enough about glues. My throat's getting a little sore already, and I got a lot to tell you guys. It will help you have a well put together project if you use the right glue. So many people will use, they all dry a little bit differently. You know, like art glitter glue dries super fast. You got to be quick. Fabri-Tac is fast somewhat, but man, if you get off, you are going to have glue shining through. Speaking of which, if you don't have a glue eraser, this one is filthy because of all the dye on my hands, but a glue eraser is wonderful for all glues, especially Fabri-Tac. You can get those anywhere that they sell crafts. Even Dollar Tree sometimes has them. Not all the time, I have found. Anyway, let's see. Don't put limits on yourself. Find a style that suits you and do it for yourself. So, I'm going to give you some examples here. So, there are people that like perfect edges, borders. Everything is just done with precision, and there's no extra. If that's your style, look it up. You know, I mean, find the person that fits you. If you, this is kind of a this style with a little bit of perfectness somewhat, and then added in a little bit of extras, you know, like next step up. So this is made from a file folder, and it's like a folio. So there, you know, if you're a folio, I have a friend that's a folio person. She loves making folios. That's her favorite thing to do. So, you know, maybe if that's your style, find somebody that actually does your style. Now, I kind of like this style, which is, and Claudine, I think this is what you were saying, you're going to start doing, is you're going to just start, if you have a receipt for something, you stick it in here, you write about it, you put whatever, there's a national park pass, we went to shows, this kind of stuff where you're just filling in the blank on daily stuff, you know, it's just fun to kind of have a memory of everything that you do, you know. All of these things mean something to me. They don't mean it to anybody else. I bought my first Yeti cup. That was quite a deal. There's a story behind that, but we won't go into that. So, and if you like, buy a journal. This is on down the road. I probably shouldn't say it now. Consider purchasing a journal, though, that this is what I did here. I liked this journal, so I purchased it because I wanted to try to figure out how she did it. And this one is all, even though it's a junk journal, you're not writing in it. Wait a minute, what did you say? I wish I could plain but perfect, but my soul likes to go out there. Oh, me too. I am not a plain perfect, and I can't do that. And my daughter, when I made her baby journal, that's what she wanted, was plain and perfect. So I really just wanted to see her knots and how she put this together. I think this was a Just Because journal. I loved it, so I bought it. That way I could look at it and get ideas and keep ideas. There's this one, that lately I've been doing quite a few of that are ephemera eating journals. They're just full of ephemera, just different kinds of pieces of 100,000. This one doesn't have as much as the Christmas ones do, but that might be your style where you're kind of half fabric, half paper. Um, you may have a reason for doing a journal. For instance, this is when I went to Alaska. There's my itinerary. This is from the brochures that I picked up. We went on a cruise, so I kept all of the cruise day stuff. I kept my, I wrote about each day where we were at, what we did, what we saw, and that might be what you're going for, is just to have a journal to record stuff. A lot of people don't use their journals. I encourage you to do that, though. This was one of my first journals where it was really kind of plain, not much to it. Things are placed on the page. They're just pretty simple, no layering. It's just maybe a next step up from being absolutely a newbie, is what we call the person that has just started out. But I have, like silvery stuff around the edges, and so this might be the style you're going for. There's no right, there's no wrong. You do what you like. Don't put limits on yourself. Just find what you like. It took me a while to find what I liked, and I love woodland style, so I tend to do woodland. Of course, I'm trying to do other things. They are a beautiful place to hold memories. I'm telling you, I've started writing journals. So it took me probably 4 years of making journals. And I hear this all the time. People make journals and they don't use them. And I encourage you to write down some of your favorite memories and pass them on to your family members. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they're just for you to relive that moment that was special to you. But write them down. Why not? What else are you doing? Do it before bed, when you get up in the morning having your coffee. Okay, anyway. Um, don't give up if you don't like your journal, okay? I can't preach that enough. It just means that you're not finished with that journal. So if you have plain Jane journal and you're like, wow, I just really, look at this. It's like so plain, you know? If you don't like it, then keep going. I encourage you just to keep on moving. Things that you could do to a simple page like this, now that you have this down, you could do a script stamp. Everybody needs one good script stamp that they really like. You don't really need 75 like I have, but find one good script stamp and, stamp on the pages. And then you can add things to bulk it up afterwards. If you're not liking it because you've seen something like it, go back and watch those people that you liked. While they're up there on the screen showing you stuff, I take pictures. I just got done right like 10 minutes before. I thought, oh, that's a great idea. Take a picture of it. You'll have it. You can add tabs. You can add little corner layers. You can continue to add to the plain pages that just make it look so bland. I'm trying to find a bland page. Can you tell? If it's too bland, then add something if you're not liking it. All right, I kind of wanted more writing space in this journal in case I used it. That's why I left them blank. Absolutely, go back when you get inspiration. Add some more to it when you get inspiration. I'm kind of saving these pages. I put a little piece of vellum there because I noticed that it's picking up on my plastic and I didn't like that. So anyway, it's okay to ask opinions of your friends, family members, but you need to do what you like. They can give you an opinion. If you are the person that's being asked, though, ask them questions about what they are thinking. Don't just start in and say, oh, yeah, I put this there and I put that there. And, yeah, you need to do this and you need to do that. Well, you're telling the other person what to do. And they're not using their creativity in their little brains that they really wanted to use in the first place. That's what got them going on this whole thing. So they are just suggestions. Make sure that you know that they are just suggestions. You don't want to cramp their style. Let's see. Twyla says, I sometimes stencil. Yeah, stencil light ink in that, and you can still write over it, and show it. It just adds more. So, being able to actually feel and touch a journal that you have purchased from someone, it is a totally different. Now, I have a friend that had never seen a journal and touched a journal, okay? And she was trying to do it and she was struggling. And so I took her a journal so she could actually touch it, feel it. And she goes, "Oh, wow." So, don't underestimate buying a journal. If you have the money to actually buy a journal you like, touch it, feel it, then you can go back to it over and over again. I did that before I did my ephemera eating journals. I bought one because I'm like, I don't know how they do this. I just want to do this so bad. And so I bought one. And you pay a lot of money for a journal. You notice my husband's not home. Don't let him know how much I spend on journals. I buy so many journals, you guys. I just love journals. I love the idea of them. But you can go back and look at them and get the idea over and over again if you have them in your, in your stash. So, all right, moving along. When you're getting ready to make a journal, this is the way I do it. I take a baggie and I collect things. So, this is one that has been needed to be made for I can't even tell you how long. This is an African journal. I donated some stuff and was not expecting it to come back. There it is. Oh my gosh, I have been looking everywhere for this, you guys. I'm so glad I did this. Oh my word. I bought Alaskan, and when I was in Alaska, they had this, a taxidermist had all these little pieces, and I'm like, what did I do with it? Well, I put it in this. This is, okay, anyway, moving right along. I gather supplies, and a lot of these supplies came from Africa. A lady I know has a place that she works with in Africa, and the ladies made some of this stuff and gave it to me. So I have kept all of this together. I plan on making an African journal. I've collected pages that, these are images from pages that in the book that I have found. So gather up stuff as you go. I've got some ribbon here. Be sure not to put stuff that you might use for other things as well. You might put a note in there that says, remember to go add fur. Lord help. You just don't even know how long I looked for that. And so there's beads of different kinds. I think they must have given this to me. And there's an elephant in here. If you think that something goes with that journal, put it with it. And then there's fabrics. They gave me some fabrics. Other people have given me fabrics and stuff to go with it. They actually gave me a digital kit. Here's a little letter that they sent to me, which I will include. And they gave me, we won't read that, but keep everything together in a bag. See, this is their style fabric. This actually came from Africa in their fabrics that they use. We gave them stuff to them. They gave stuff back, and they actually made me some tags and gifted it to me. And look at this. I mean, it is so just wonderful to have such a pile of stuff to start. So I have enough to start this journal. Okay, I really do. I have everything that I could possibly want. I have stuff for the outside, stuff for the inside, digital kits. I have everything to start this journal, but it's all together in one little pile so that when I'm ready, and I have different ones, like sewing, and I have a poppy one. I have, whatever. I have a million, but that's an easy way to keep it all together. And when your bag is full, then you're probably ready to start, probably. Not 100%. But anyway, you get the idea. So just keep little baggies. I keep mine, I originally kept mine, I'm leaving this out. I had originally used a cube, one of those cube things. That's what I had used to keep all of my things in. I've outgrown it because I just keep thinking, oh, I'm going to do this and that and that. And they just turn into massive amounts of everything. So next on the list, consider what is stopping you. All right. If it's your handwriting, I did an example. If it's your handwriting, perhaps, you know, everybody always tells me, oh, you've got the best handwriting. Well, yeah, I have pretty handwriting. You know, I used to write 10-page letters in school to my best friend every day. Practice makes perfect on everything that you don't. So if you don't like your handwriting, maybe try this. Then layer on top of it. You know, take your, I have, well, I'm working on Christmas stuff still. So, you know, you might, you know, do what's under it. It doesn't matter what it says. And then you can layer on top of it. Okay. It's your handwriting. It makes it lovely. But if you don't like your handwriting, that's and using, a Stabilo pencil or a chalk pencil or a watercolor pencil or something, and do it with that. And then if you put, you know, you can smear it and make it beautiful. Let me see what you guys are saying here. I already said you can make a stencil light ink. That's right. I've done a winter clean and cannot, my stencils. Wait a minute. What you said, I put them in a safe. Oh, you can't find them. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's been a year. I've been looking for those stupid pieces. Anyway, sounds like a song that plays in my craft room, Buttercup. Oh yeah. Everybody, you guys know you're experienced crafters, for heaven's sakes. All right. Anyway, that's a smart idea, writing in where you put things. However, one of the things that I have shared over and over again is before you put anything away, seriously, think about where you think you might put it. Where would I look for it? Some things I have struggled with because I don't have anything else that matches it or something, you know, like I might have, like these misters, for instance. Well, where would you put a mister? Where would I look for a mister to begin with? Well, I'm going to use a mister when I'm watercoloring, so I might put it with my watercolors. Think through the process of where you put things, and then you might not have to make a little composition book full of things. Anyway, all right. If you're struggling, if you're struggling with sewing and signatures, I was going to finish this journal today, but you guys, this came to me and it was such a little brain bump that I thought, I got to do this. I just got to do it while I'm on it. Okay, if you struggle with sewing and signatures, and I've done another thing, did you know about this too, I think, then you may not be clamping down. Now I was sitting there watching a lady the other day, and I thought, she isn't clamping that down. And she didn't have trouble with it because it was a very small journal. You know, only had a couple pages in it. And those kind you can get away without doing it. But the bigger the journal, the more you need to take clamps and clamp down every side. So, okay, first of all, you see, this doesn't fit, but these are what I'm going to put in there. I'm going to take every other page and go up, and then I'm going to go down a little bit, and then I'm going to go up to fill in the space so it looks full, but it's not really full. Okay, but then when you're going to, if you're one signature, two signature, you want to put both signatures in there to start with, so you have your spine, especially if it's like this and you're like, oh, I need this to be flattened out so I can get two signatures in there. Then you want to make sure to put both of them in there at once and find the center and close it down. And I use a bone folder, and I use the big bone folder. I love this bone folder. It's a We Are Memory Keeper. And I clamp it down and I push it down as hard as I can. And while I'm pushing it down and while it is closed, that's when I'm clamping on this. I'm clamping on this side, I'm clamping on this side, and I'm clamping on this side, and I'm clamping on this side. Hey, Angie, 4 clamps. And then this puppy isn't going to move. Just remember to do it when it's closed, not when it's open. If it's open and it's flat like this, when you close it, it's moving on you. Watch. I mean, you have this and it's like, you guys, well, how can I show you? This is squishing out. You can tell that by it's closer to the edges. So anyway, if you're having trouble, you need to make a template. And I've shown how to do that. If you guys need help, let me know. But you make a template, and then you use the longest, thinnest pokey tool after it's clamped, and you don't punch it through when it's like this. No, 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 no. You lay it down, you make sure it is straight, and then using your template that you've made, you're going to close it as tight as you can, and you're going to push it through, because you don't make it when it's open, and then you won't have any trouble getting it, your needle, especially through the center hole. So those are just little tips and tricks. Let's see, Buttercup says they are on a large bulldog clip, but for the life of me, it's driving me mad. Well, look with your African stuff. Oh, me, I'm sorry. Who would have thought that that's where they were at? Oh, my word. That just makes me mad. Okay, anyway, get over it, Joy. Move on. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anything that I said. And I kind of only thought about, this is kind of a long, lengthy one, but I hope it helps you. So if you're scared of using a sewing machine, I have heard this over and over again. People have actually bought sewing machines, and then they don't ever get them out because they're scared of them. I was scared of them too. You know why I was scared of them? I might, Buttercup. I was scared of the sewing machine because my sister yelled at me every time I helped her with the sewing. I had bought a sewing machine that only had like zigzag and straight on it, okay? That was what I made a mistake of buying when I first started. And then I'm like, well, I want all the fancy stitches. Well, now I had a one that was 140 stitches on it, but I didn't want to use it. Dumb, so dumb, because I had a quilt that I wanted to finish first. Like, I couldn't change the needle. Oh my goodness. So then here's the other thing. I had a friend that was scared to death of the sewing machine, but she was determined one day, and she turned around and she cleaned. I'm like, what? You have to clean your machine? And she cleaned it all by her lonesome using a video from YouTube. I'm like, holy cow. If she can do that, by George, I can do it, because, you know, I didn't think she could do anything like that, you know, and I was so encouraged because she was so scared of the sewing machine. She's still scared of the sewing machine. She still hasn't used her sewing machine. However, if you don't have it out of the box, you certainly cannot use it. And I did do a quick tip on how to use your sewing machine if you're scared of it. Pretty much, you start and you sew in circles and you sew in squares on pieces of paper, and you just try. And you're not sewing on your project, so you're not ruining it. One of the things, but sewing adds so much. One of the things that I did a quick tip on as well is doing a zigzag. I never understood why my zigzag looked so ugly. Well, let me get a piece of paper. My zigzags, I was taking the zigzag. Let me find a, hold on. Let me get close enough here. I was taking a zigzag and I was putting the zigzag, I'll make it big just so you can see, like this. And I thought, why does mine not look good? Well, the reason is you need to start halfway through, like here, and I was scared to go off, okay? So you go off the page, and then you come back on the page, which is hard for me to show, and then you go off the page again. And that makes it look like this, where it's on both sides, and it's on the edge, and it's smooth. It's not in the middle of the silly thing. So if here's the edge, and you're like this, and here's the edge, it's more over, 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 okay? Don't be scared to try it. The other thing is, if you notice, now my friend made this, I didn't make this, but you don't ever start at the top if you're sewing. That's just a tip. Don't start at the top because you will clog every time. I don't know why. Hey, Susie. So start in the middle somewhere. And then, then you can go to the edge and go around and come back. But don't be afraid of your sewing machine. Get it out at least. Get it on a table near a plug. Find what you're doing and try it. Turn the darn thing on. It's not doing you a bit of good to have a $100 sewing machine sitting in a box in the closet if you're not going to use it. And you're dying to use it. You know you are. You know you are. Oh my goodness. Okay, so sewing machine, let's see. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up, guys, if you're interested and you're liking what you're seeing here. So the other things that people are scared of, oh, let's see, did I say everything about this? I think so. Oh, sewing machine. There are sewing groups on Facebook, and those people are more than happy to help you. There are videos about probably your own specific sewing machine that you can actually watch how to change the bobbin, rethread it. You can watch how to sew with your sewing machine. All you got to do is go to YouTube. They're a wonderful resource. Google it, and you will find that you are not alone, and there are people in Facebook groups and YouTube groups that show you all these sewing tips and sewing things. Do it, do it, do it, do it. So if you don't have a sewing machine, you really don't have one, and you just like the look of hand sewing, just test it out on scraps. So that's kind of what I did here. I hand sewed and then I rust dyed these, okay? So I just did different little knots. This one was just on the edge. I kind of folded over the edge and I just did a little stitch. It doesn't matter what they look like. This is just a piece to add to a journal. Try them out on little pieces. Try them out on paper. Try them out on anything. And just don't do it on your project if you're that scared of trying it. And I like to make the loose, really loose, floppy stitches that don't go, here we're going in and out and in and out. I like to go, oh, here, okay, I'm leaving this flop up here and then I'm going around and sewing down and then I'm leaving that one flopped up there. And, try different ways. You might find something that you really, really like. And don't be afraid of it. Use embroidery thread, use Aunt Lydia's cotton thread. Just try it. I'm just saying, try it. Okay, so it takes 2 minutes a day to improve your skills. So you can do anything for 2 minutes. So you can't get in your craft room because something's too busy, you don't have time. Take and make it a habit and do it for 2 minutes a day. Before you know it, you'll be spending 5 minutes, and then you'll be spending 15, and then you won't want to walk away, and then you will have your habit down, and you can just do a lot more. Now, we know that we did not just, well, there's probably somebody out there that did, but for the most of us, we did not walk before we crawled. So take those baby steps and empower yourself. Know that you can do it and do it. Okay? Here's another suggestion. Craft with other crafters that you like. Now, you may be a person that just is an inward, doesn't like to be around people. There are YouTubes for that. You can do anything on YouTube, I know, I love slow stitching or hand stitching. They're both the same. You may not know that that's a hand stitch and a slow stitch. It's just another name. But they're so fun to use. Yes, they are. So if you're a person that is scared to be around people, then try this. YouTube people like me right now that are doing a live and they're doing something that you really love, interact with them, ask them questions about what they're showing and how they're doing it. And then after it's done and you just loved what they did, but I can't do that, I hate those words. I hate those words. I know, don't be a hater. But if you can go back later and watch it again, stop the video, where you were trying to and do exactly everything they're doing. Most people do everything. There's some that take out, like, okay, we all know how to distress a page, so they take that out and stop the thing. But then there's others that tell you every single thing. I mean, this is the way you distress. You put your thing here, you do this. So find a person. There's chat groups. We have a chat group in our Facebook that we meet every night, and sometimes during the day. And you can, find a group of people that you like to hang out with. It's fun. Sometimes, there's little arguments here and there, but, nothing that adults can't get through. So don't worry about it. And find somebody that you like. If you have a neighbor, that's even better. If you can find somebody in your area. I just learned that the church is having a craft day every second Saturday. Who knew? I didn't know. Put it on your Facebook page, that is your community Facebook page, and say, is there any crafting groups that get together and when and all that stuff? So those are things that you can consider for yourself. And, getting instant feedback on a question that you have is always wonderful, like, what glue did you use? Wait, the person forgot to tell you what glue they were using, and they have it in an unknown bottle that you have no idea what it is. It's like, stop and ask them. That happens a lot because a lot of people put their glue in odd bottles that don't have names on them. So anyway, that is all I have. If you guys think of something yourself that you have experienced, put it in the comments and let me know. I would love to hear. And if you have questions, I'm here. If you want to see something, tell me what you want to see. I'd be happy to do it. I hope that you get a little bit of benefit from this video. If you have, give me a thumbs up, and I would love to hear from you again. So subscribe, ring the bell, and I will see you guys next time. So I am here on Mondays at 7:30 p.m. unless I'm a ding dong and I've slept through my world, and then, like I did last week. I'm so sorry. It worked out though, because my internet didn't work at 7:30. It worked at 3 when I did the video. Anyway, Mondays 7:30 Central, and on Thursdays I'm always here on at 3 o'clock Central Time. So I hope to see you again. Remember that your day is full of choices, so choose joy. Have a great day, you guys, and stay warm.